Welcome to the Motherhood Alliance podcast, the podcast dedicated to empowering moms and families on their health and wellness journey. I'm Brittany Suttner.
And I'm Andrea Rinkus. Together, we're here to explore holistic approaches that go beyond conventional medicine.
Each week, we dive into topics that matter most to you. Everything from nutrition and mental health to alternative therapies and natural living.
And whether you're a new mom navigating the early stages of parenthood or a seasoned pro looking for new ways to support your family's well-being, you're in the right place.
Even better, all of our guests are local small business owners who you can actually talk to and work with. You can learn more about today's guest and connect with hundreds of other health and wellness professionals through our informative and easy-to-use directory at motherhoodalliance.com.
Before we get started, keep in mind that this podcast is for informational and educational purposes only and is not a substitute for personal healthcare advice. Please consult your healthcare provider before making any changes based on the podcast content.
Thank you for joining us on this journey. Are you ready to help your family thrive? Let's get started. Hi, we are Britt and Drea from motherhoodalliance.com, and we're excited to welcome you to a 4-episode series with Cassie Groeschl, the owner of Wellness That Fits, based out of Green Bay, Wisconsin. Cassie is a registered dietitian and mom of 3 who knows firsthand how draining it can feel to juggle family, work, and the never-ending what's for dinner question. Cassie serves moms and families through customized meal plans, one-on-one coaching, a meal plan subscription, courses, retreats, and more. Outside of work, you'll find her in the garden, fishing, or out on family walks with her husband, 3 kids, and their dog. All right, you guys, it's time to turn up your volume. You're going to love these episodes with Cassie. Let's get started.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Motherhood Alliance podcast. We are back here with Cassie from Wellness That Fits. Welcome back, Cassie.
Thank you.
We are super excited to delve into this episode. We're going to be talking about all about meal prepping, and Cassie is literally the expert in this. She is so good at it, and I know you have several, freebies and courses and all sorts of things that go around this topic. But I do want to point out, if you guys have if you haven't listened to our first episode with Cassie talking about seed oils, we delved deep into that topic, and I highly recommend taking a listen to that and also downloading her free download pantry guide, which will work perfectly within this episode too. So, all right, let's get into this meal prep thing. So I like to meal prep. I like the idea of it too, most times, because I'm really, sometimes I'm really good about it, and I'm so proud and I'm so happy when I do it, but then all of a sudden you fall off the bandwagon the next week.
Yeah.
It's a pain. It's like really hard sometimes. And I think I make it too complicated. You're the expert though. Like, you know how to help women through this, especially moms.
Yeah. What do you hear as a dietitian that really specializes in this? What do you hear women coming to struggling the most in this arena with?
Yeah, I think it's a lot of different things. I have people that come to me and they're like, I need more ideas. My family's getting sick of the same thing. There are other moms that are just like, I don't have any time to meal prep. We're so busy every single night. And then the weekends, I just want to relax. And they don't want to spend like really any time. But I kind of wonder about that, because it's like, I get that. Like, people are super busy. We have really busy lives. But if you're not meal prepping, I think it actually takes more time, And so it's just the overwhelm too. Like, people just get overwhelmed with the idea of, okay, we have to plan, and then we have to like prep the food, and then you have to serve it in a way that the family likes, which
that's a whole topic right there. Of I'll find a meal where I'm like, bingo, this is it, but I don't think the kids are going to eat it. So
then you call me and say, Trey, I made this amazing meal. And I'm like, I'll come over and eat it with you. We do that all the time.
Yeah. But there's this balance of making it family friendly, but also high quality nutrition. And,
right.
And like you said, the multiple steps. You have to plan it. You have to shop for it. You have to chop it. You have to, cook it. Help us.
Yes. No, it is definitely, it can be really overwhelming, especially when you think about the fact that it has so many steps. But let's kind of break down those steps, right? And so the first part really of meal planning and prepping is the planning process and thinking about what meals to make. And that's like a huge pain point. Like I said, like a lot of people are just, they don't know where to go for ideas. And so planning. And then there's the prepping part. And actually, before I go on to prepping, I just want to mention too, with the meal planning process, I think a lot of moms also, like, it's hard for them to like get to the grocery store. And so I always try to recommend like do like the pickup order or delivery. Just, it's so worth it. It saves so much time. But I would say it's really important to set aside, even if it's like 5 minutes. Let's say you meal prep on a Sunday. You take 5 minutes on a Friday and just really quickly go through your pantry and be like, okay, I already have this, right? Some people call it shop your pantry. So you have X, Y, and Z. And then I keep a running list of items that I need as we run out in the pantry. It just makes it easier. And then just think, okay, this is what I already have. And, using good health practices like thinking about eating leafy greens daily, eating berries daily, increasing nuts and seeds, eating lean proteins, some of these things we kind of know, right? Like people know to do that. It's just like the application process is, the hard part. And so thinking through, okay, I need to have these components. How am I going to plan? I'm going to shop my pantry. I'm going to create a grocery list. I personally use Instacart because I think it is super fast and easy. And then I do like a pickup order. And so that's kind of the planning process that can save you a ton of time. Now, I don't know like what you guys do, but if you ever go to the grocery store with no plan, no thought,
gosh, it's a terrible idea.
What's in my pantry? I don't remember. And so like you buy extra things. So not only are you wasting more money, but you're also just like stuffing more stuff in your pantry and you can't find the other stuff and then stuff goes bad, right?
Oh my gosh. Yep.
So, or you go to the grocery store without a plan and you're like, I'm going to eat healthy this week. And so you buy the spinach and you buy like all the veggies and things. And then it sits and wilts in the bottom of your drawer because you don't actually have a plan to use it. Like you don't know how you're going to make it in a certain meal. And so that's why I think laying out and writing down the meals that you're going to make that week is really important. That's just like step one in the process. Now, let's say we take it a step further and we go on to the next step, which is the prepping process. So I think this part is so time saving because, and you can be so efficient in the kitchen if you use the right methods, but by prepping things ahead of time, it just sets you up for success in your week. So instead of like coming home, you're, after work or whatever, and you're just drained, so tired. And then before you even set your stuff down, your spouse, your kids are like, Mom, what's for dinner? And you're like, oh my gosh, do not ask me that question, right? And so like, I think like we get so overwhelmed. I don't know what it is about that question, but like we get so overwhelmed by it. And so at least having a plan, writing down what you're going to make and then having a grocery list, you're like, oh, well, we're going to have this, right? That helps a little bit with like the mental fatigue and that decision fatigue. But then the plan or the prepping process helps it so much more. If you can set aside, even if it's like 30 minutes to start on like a Sunday or some day, just to wash your produce, to cut up whatever produce you need. Like let's say you're going to be making a stir fry and you're going to need rice, you're going to need like the bell peppers, the broccoli, and then chicken. If it's something so simple as just chopping the veggies ahead of time and making the rice in a rice cooker, which is super hands off, that helps you be really efficient with your time. So like, let's say you come home Monday, stir fries on the menu, and you're like, okay, all I have to do is dump it in a pan, right? And just fry it up and it's good to go. And that way it's not like a leftover too, because I know some people just hate leftovers. So,
and I have to add something onto that because my husband and I have talked about this numerous times where during the week, my kids right now are school aged. We have soccer, we have cross country, we have all these things on school nights. And he's like, you know what? As long as I can have the Packer game on in the background, I will stand at the counter and chop for you. And I am like, okay, wow. I need to make sure that I'm rearranging my plans to like grocery shop maybe on Friday. And then we have the food in the house on Sunday. So this can be a family effort too of maybe multitasking, of asking your kids if they're old enough or your spouse to help with this. Like this doesn't all have to fall on you, and just figuring out how can they help while still maybe also not finding exhaustion in their arena.
Right.
So
no, I love that. And that speaks volumes to like finding some time, right? Setting aside some time, communicating with your family. And so what I used to do, I have small children. And so like during nap time on Sundays would be my time to prep. And I would communicate that with my husband, and we would just know that like if a kid wakes up, you're going to get them because like I need to spend my 1 hour, and it's going to set us up for so much success throughout the week. And so I think utilizing everything you can, like caretakers or getting the family involved, Now, it's something funny with getting the family involved, because I was always just like super efficient. Like I need to like utilize my time as best I can, and every single minute counts. And while I still have that mindset, I'm starting actually, as my kids get older, to get into the mindset of we are teaching life skills here.
Yes, absolutely.
Like we are teaching, like you need to learn how to cut up a carrot. And even if we're using utensils that kids can cut with if they're smaller children, but just like trying to get people involved in the kitchen, because it is a means of self-care for the whole family, for yourself if you're prepping, but also for your family. And so, yeah, I do think being efficient in the kitchen is really important, and utilizing specific kitchen tools to help you do so, but also involving the family is huge.
It's huge too, because when the kids, especially once they get a little older too, if they're used to being in there, that's great. But then like for my kids, if they realize like how much work it actually does take to make that favorite dish, then they appreciate that more. Or like washing dishes and everything else. Like this is why you don't leave that crusty bowl out. It's harder to, all that other stuff. So it's really important to get them in there.
Yeah, absolutely. And to your point too, like involving them in more of the process. And so when we talk about planning, I think a huge tip that I have is to ask your spouse and ask your kids, what are your 10 favorite meals? Write them down somewhere. And that way you always have this list, because I don't know about you guys, but I'm like, what do they like? And of course with kids, it changes
Pizza,
all the time.
mac and cheese,
tacos.
Well,
Yeah,
they have their
same
few,
things.
right? But it's
Right.
like, if you make something healthy and you're like, oh my gosh, you actually ate that? It's like, write it down. Yeah.
Yes,
And I
absolutely.
will say, depending on the season, I've gotten pretty good at getting my kids to help actually prep a meal. So I say this, you're in charge, you're chef, and I'm assistant chef.
I love it.
This season right now that we're in, we have a lot going on after school. So that's been a little bit trickier. They still have to wash dishes once a week, and they don't like that, but whatever. But, when they're actually making the meal, they eat so much more of it.
Yep.
So
when they have some skin in the game, and even so I, ask them what kind of meals they want, but I make my kids lunches, and again, they're small, but as they get older, I'm going to start to put stations out for them. Like, here's the grain, here's the protein, here's the veggie, here's the fruit. You guys pick out and do your own, to give them some autonomy in the process. But right now I always ask them, like, okay, what do you guys want for your side, your veggie side, or what meal do you want? And then they get excited, they get to choose, and then they actually will eat the, the food. And back to the gardening, that's why I love gardening so much, is you can take the kids with you in the garden, help pick, and you're like, and there's some foods, like my kids just don't like tomatoes, but there are some things it's like, you help me pick these green beans, and we are basically going from, farm to table right now, garden to table, and they will just gobble that up if they have had some part in the picking process or the cooking process or the stirring. Oh my goodness. Like even stirring something can, make them so excited.
But I also do relate to you very much on what you said about the struggle is real when you're like, this will take me 10 minutes without kids just to do it. This will take me 25 minutes if I involve them, especially when they're little. And then the mess will be double.
So do you know what you can do for that?
Okay, tell us.
So let's say it's going to take them 20 minutes to cut up a carrot. You give them that carrot and you just let them do their thing. And I mean, obviously if you need to supervise them, you'll have to supervise them and choose, between efficiency and that. But if it's like something they can really do, that's why I'm so passionate about like using kitchen tools, where let's say you cook a protein, a grain, and a couple veggies for the week. I'm going to put my chicken in the crock pot, let it cook so that I can then attend to a kid who might need my help. Or I will throw rice or quinoa in my rice cooker, or you can do it in Instant Pot as well. I don't have one of those, but a rice cooker, and let it sit, it cooks. I mean, any hands-off kitchen gadgets that you can use is like game changing. Like I can't stand cooking rice over the stove. So that just takes too long and you're constantly stirring it. So hands off things are my favorite. And also with the kitchen tips, I think the order in which you do things really matter too. Like, so I always try to cook the things that take the longest, like roasting veggies or like potatoes, or even like cooking chicken. I start that first so that while that's cooking, I can chop the veggies or have, a kid help with that. And then I'm making like maybe something like a soup or something on the side. And so I'm utilizing all areas of the kitchen. I'm using a crock pot, a rice cooker, the stovetop, and my oven sometimes. Now that sounds overwhelming, but like
the cleanup sounds overwhelming.
Well, let's talk about cleanup.
Yeah.
Because like, yes, there is a lot of cleanup, but think about if you were going to make meals daily, how many dishes you would have. And so part of this is like, if you're going to fry beef, let's say, and so you're not going to make it in the crock pot, you're going to fry beef in a pan. You're also going to get that beef out of the pan, put it in a container, and you're going to fry your veggies in it. And then you're going to make anything else you need in that same pan. You don't have to do dishes in between. And that's my biggest thing is like, I utilize the same utensils as much as possible for chopping veggies. I chop everything, all my veggies first, and then do some of like the food safety concerns like chicken or sometimes I'll just use a separate cutting board for that. But I think just like then you're pulling out one cutting board, you're washing it once. And since it's a wooden cutting board and not a plastic cutting board that you can't put in the dishwasher, you know what I mean? You're like cutting everything once and just washing it once. So
I love that.
It saves a ton of time.
Do you meal plan breakfast, lunch, snacks, and dinner? Or do you just do like dinner and then we do leftovers for lunch? Or what all are you meal planning?
Good question.
Yeah, it varies every week. I would say my strategy that I do myself, and I also teach in like my course and how I kind of work it in my meal plan subscription is I like to prep core ingredients to then mix and match to create diverse dishes. So for example, I will cook a chicken in the crock pot. I will cook, let's use rice in the rice cooker. And then I'm also going to chop my romaine for the week. That's going to be like my leafy green for the week. And what I will do with that is I will have, you can do chicken tacos, you can do a casserole, you can do salad, you can do a grain bowl with the rice, the chicken, you can open up a can of beans and then make it like a burrito bowl. You can just do so much with it. You can use any leftover shredded chicken that you have and put it in a soup. And so we're all emotional beings. And that's why I'm very, I don't want to say against, but I think we all just get really turned off about meal prep because we think about like, let's prep the same 7 meals in these little containers, the compartment containers where it's like chicken, broccoli, chicken, broccoli, chicken, broccoli. And it's like, that gets really, I mean, it works for some people and that's great. But for me, that's so mundane and boring. I want to be able to like, some days I'm feeling this and I want to use this sauce and some days I'm feeling this. And so that's why I also think it's really important to have a pantry that's flexible and that works with you and to have like clean ingredient sauces so that like you can use this teriyaki with this and a Caesar salad wrap, but you're also going to do a grain bowl with Chipotle ranch. Like sauces can diversify meals a lot.
How do you organize your like recipes and your list? Because I'm thinking about if you prep a whole chicken, you have that shredded chicken in the fridge with the rice. Some people are going to stare at that and be like, okay, you just listed off like 6 things you can do with that.
Right.
Because you're good at this.
Yes.
So how would you recommend for people to like have, for shredded chicken, here are 6 ideas, and then like organize that so they can just flip open a binder and see like, how do you organize that?
Yeah. So I would say because that is kind of like my superhuman strength of being creative. And like, I don't know if you guys have ever watched Chopped on the Food Network where they basically take all these crazy ingredients and just make it a meal. So that is like my superpower. So I don't have an organized fashion that I do it, but I do write down on the fridge, the meals that we can make with X, Y, and Z products. So I'll say, we're having chicken ring and then we're going to have the chicken salad and tzatziki and Greek gyros. And we're going to all use the chicken for this. And what I also do, because yes, you're right. You open the fridge and most people are like, what do I do? And so what I will do is I have these little bins that I got off of Amazon. They're like clear bins and long. They fit in the fridge nicely. I will put all the ingredients for, let's say, the Greek gyros. I'm going to put it all in one container. Obviously the chicken we might use in multiple applications, but then in another container, I will have like, let's say everything we were going to need for the tacos or for the whatever we're going to be having that night. And so that way you just pull the full container out of the fridge and it has the salsa, the cheese, the sour cream all in it. And you take it out and you're like, okay, I just need to grab the chicken and the tortillas from the pantry.
I love that.
Okay. But I also want to say with that though, even though you organize your fridge very nicely, you'll still have members of your family that open up and be like, what do I, I'm like,
thanks for the warning.
You pull out the bin.
So if you're prepping, let's say you're using the chicken example here on a Sunday, you're doing this. So you're primarily you're prepping all your food, cooking it on Sunday. And this is for you personally and what you kind of walk through in your course. And then you're pulling out these trays throughout the week that are already cooked and you just kind of have to assemble them, right? So if you chop your romaine on Sunday, what is your tip for keeping fruits and vegetables fresh the whole week.
Absolutely. So I love romaine as an example because, first of all, it's a leafy green and it is very similar to iceberg lettuce, but just way more nutrients. And so it counts as a leafy green. So for any families that are trying to include leafy greens, romaine is probably your go-to. But with romaine, I chop it all. So what I do is I wash the leaves. You can use a salad spinner, but I use just like a dish towel, and I pat everything dry. I chop it up. I put a piece of paper towel down in the container, and then I put my chopped romaine on top of that. And I only do it like so thick because then I need another paper towel. And I have done this, and it actually keeps. So I've done it in containers, but I've also done it in reusable plastic bags. And as long as you divide the layers with like a piece of paper towel, it keeps for more than a week.
Really?
I mean, you have to like wring out the water really well. But yes, that paper towel absorbs it really well. Now, I also want to mention this too. If you see one brown spot on a piece of lettuce, in my head, that is still fine. Now, if you start to have like smells and it's really getting like slimy,
yeah.
Obviously you don't want to use that. But I think we have such a food waste problem in our nation, and people are just like, oh, I can't eat that. There's this little brown piece. And I'm like, this is half of our problem. Why we have so much food waste. Is like, it's still fine to eat. The reason it turns brown is because of oxidization in the cells. So it's still fine to eat unless it smells really bad or there's mold growing on it or something like that. So anyway, that's how I keep romaine really well, and leafy greens like that. Now, berries, you really only want to wash them right before you're going to eat them. Otherwise they get soggy and gross. But for other veggies, like carrots are so easy. They keep really well. Cucumbers, I will use within 3 days. If you're going to chop them ahead of time, use within 3 days because they do get kind of slimy. But yeah, I would say most produce keeps really well. And then like apples and things that you do see browning, you could put a little lemon juice in it or lime juice or something, and it helps it a lot.
And to round out this episode, I do want to bring it back to kids because they can be challenging when it comes to pickiness or, as moms and parents who are just so passionate about trying to get health and nutrients into our kids, it can be really hard. What are your sneaky tips for getting little pieces of veggies and fruits into their diet? So we talked a little bit about smoothies, but what else are you doing to make sure that your kids are getting some of the nutrients that maybe they wouldn't normally just eat by themselves?
Yeah, this is a great question. Obviously, I get this a lot. And I pack my own kids' lunches right now. So they do cold lunch. And I try to have like a leafy green or maybe like an egg muffin with like little chopped up tiny pieces of kale in it. Now, it's not every day. But what I try to do is dinner time has to be like one of the most nutritious meals. Breakfast, I have kids, one of my kids will eat regularly energy balls, which are just jam-packed with chia, hemp, just flax, all these amazing ingredients. So he gets really good nutrition in the morning. But also like in terms of leafy greens, modeling the behavior as parents is one of the best things that you can do. Now, kids they have more sensitive palates and they like sugar more. That's just like their brain chemistry. And so they are gonna want the sugary foods. But I do think modeling it, making sure that you have a salad, you're eating the foods that you say they should be eating is one of the best things that you can do. Are they going to say no? Are they going to do this? Yes, they still will. I don't have a magical answer for getting kids to eat all the foods. But one more thing that I will say, so modeling good behavior. And also we tend to give our kids snacks all the time in our society. All the time. And it's hard because, like after school, they're fried, like they're just tired. They just want a snack. And I would say, make sure the quality of your snack is really well. And also a tiny, small snack is sufficient because guess what? They are eating a large snack. And then of course they don't want dinner. They're not going to eat their dinner. Last night, my kids had no snack. And when they got home from school and they were starving, and that was great. They felt it in their bellies what it feels like to be hungry. That's great. They're learning from their hunger and satiety cues. And so then they were, eating the romaine, we had nachos, so eating the chicken and the romaine. My one child like hardly ever eats chicken. And so I think like making sure that we make sure our kids are hungry for meals is huge as well.
Yeah. I also, with that too, I feel like we're setting them up better for teenage adulthood too, because if we're constantly snacking, you bring those habits in to the future too. So,
Absolutely.
I don't know, just a thought.
And one more thing with that too, I actually just saw something, and this is a great idea as well. If you do have that problem where maybe like your family spouse, you guys tend to eat a little bit later, like 6-7 o'clock, which is a little late, but I mean, some families do that. And so your kid almost like needs a snack at that 3-4 o'clock. Move the nutrition to up for like earlier. And so instead of like a sugary snack or like goldfish or whatever it might be, carb heavy, make sure there's protein included in that, and make sure it's like something super nutritious like energy balls that you can control the ingredients in and that still taste good. Or you can almost do like a mini supper and then kind of swap it. And then supper time with the family, so you're still having that family connection, is going to be more of like, oh, let's have a little snack, a little thing to round out, the meal. Here's maybe where you can introduce some like the goldfish or something that I just know that's a common one that a lot of, people give their kids. But I think just making sure that they're eating nutritious foods when they're hungry, that is a good time to get it in.
And for those of you who are listening, Cassie did write a blog on the Motherhood Alliance website called Back to School Meal Prep Routine that saves your sanity and your health. So obviously she knows her stuff. Go check out that blog. You can read a little bit more there. She also has a Busy Mom meal prep guide. Can you tell us a little bit about what that is?
Yeah, so in that guide, I walk you through how you can prep core ingredients to create diverse meals using different sauces and a couple extra add-ins. And I'm actually prepping. I spend about 30 minutes prepping the food, and I want to say 7 or 8. I can't remember off the top of my head. There's 7 or 8 different meals that you can make from that. And so even if you have 30 minutes to set aside on a Sunday or whatever meal prep day you have, you truly can create really diverse, delicious, nutritious meals for your family.
I love that. And Cassie has generously offered 50% off your first month of the Wellness That Fits meal plan subscription. So she has a meal plan subscription. Is this monthly?
Yes, it's monthly, and you get the meal plan delivered to your inbox weekly, just so that there's not enough, or there's not as much overwhelm, because
Awesome.
Things get lost.
So you can get your first month 50% off. So thank you for offering that, Cassie. The promo code, if you want to take advantage of that, is MA50. But one more question just to finish out this episode is, like Drea had mentioned in the very beginning, I think so many of us, we meal plan, we put the meal on the table and we're like, this was so nice. When we planned it out, we knew what we were having. Execution, look how beautiful it is. Do you have any tips for staying consistent? Because then all of a sudden the next week you're like hair on fire. We're having spaghetti every single night because
grilled cheese.
I have nothing planned.
Yeah,
absolutely. First of all, I want to start with give yourself some grace. We're doing the best we can. Certain seasons and certain weeks look different, and you are feeding your family. So first of all, take off some of the guilt. Some weeks are going to be a little bit worse, quote unquote, worse than others, right? Some weeks are going to be more nutritious. But I would say if you do have a crazy busy week coming up, when you're at the grocery store, instead of like thinking I need to home make everything, grab the pre-chopped veggies, grab the pre-chopped romaine, get the rotisserie style chicken, and piece together your meals. Get some corn tortillas, get some naan bread or whatever, and you can make a whole bunch of different meals with like pre-prep things. And try to buy organic if you can, if your budget allows. Otherwise, wash the produce and things really good. But just pre-chopped and pre-washed things help immensely for those crazy busy weeks.
Awesome.
Perfect.
This episode was great. I'm going to go back and listen to it a couple times and just...
I'm inspired.
Make my plan.
Yeah.
Everybody go make their plan today while you're thinking about it. All right. Well, we do have 2 more episodes coming up with Cassie. So I'm really excited that we're only halfway through with gaining her knowledge because she has a ton of it. Next up, we're going to be talking about being nourished after you have a baby, what to eat for healing, energy, and milk supply. And I can tell you, if you're out of that season, you're probably still going to want to listen to this because that is a time in your life when you need in-depth, focused nutrients. And so why not apply a lot of these principles into your life in general, and or share it with somebody that you know who is in that season. And then in episode 4, we're going to be talking about the importance of family meals and what that can do for your mental and physical health. We can't wait for those ones. They're coming up next. If you enjoyed this episode, would you consider leaving a rating or review or sharing it directly with a friend who could benefit from the information? We know that you're a busy mom or caregiver, and our goal is to make your life easier by bringing tips and tricks directly from experts into your earbuds. By sharing this episode with someone you love, you can play a critical role in helping to make their life easier as well. We appreciate your time and thank you for being a part of the Motherhood Alliance family.